Let's move on to another job that is being lost. When we talk about Cincinnati Bengals 17 at the Baltimore Ravens 23. The Bengals' first 0-6 start since 2008. Andy Dalton. Yikes. He's just losing this job. Is he gone next year? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we both have them in the top 3 of the draft, and, they're probably going to get a quarterback, whether it's Tua, Justin Herbert, Jake Fromm, something like that. And he's without his top receiver. Joe Mixon doesn't look great at all.
No, I mean, obviously, offensive line's an issue. And
a lot of that team is
even the best quarterback with a horrible offensive line, it's different.
Eli Manning.
Derek Carr, the few years that they had some turnover there. Now that they finally built it back up. But the point being, maybe Andy Dalton's not as bad as we think.
He's not awful. I mean,
he's dealt a bad hand. Bottom line is, though,
he's in the twilight of his career. And they just changed coaches.
Right.
His star receiver's been out since preseason.
Who, Auden Tate?
Auden Tate. That man only makes acrobatic catches.
Yeah. 12 targets for him.
Put in your waivers.
Seriously, 12 targets for him last game. I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Tyler Boyd, who?
Problem.
He's this year's Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, that's true. But that's going to be a problem heading into next year. Speaking to the Bengals in general, obviously you talked about Mixon doesn't look the same, right? Where's Boyd really been? He's been kind of in the mix. Auden Tate a lot more in the mix. Eifert's kind of old.
There.
Has a history of being injured, though, right?
Yeah.
At what point do you? It's not total rebuild mode, but at what point do you just kind of start over?
You get a quarterback in the draft and build around him. You trade your assets. I mean, we're talking about possible AJGreen destinations last week, right?
No, that's this week. You just skipped ahead, and I love it.
Spoiler alert.
I love it. That's the next question we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, AJGreen, if you can get a first-round pick, I would try and get one. But
AJGreen's definitely not being re-signed by the Bengals, right? Like that's can't happen. Unless they sell him on, we're gonna get Tua.
This is such a wide receiver heavy college football draft,
right?
Or college football class, that if they can accumulate 1 or 2 first round picks by trading their best assets.
Yeah. I mean, they love Tate. They love Boyd. So maybe they don't need a wide receiver necessarily in their minds. And you got to at least try to trade him, I would think, to get something.
You're going to need a stud. Neither of those guys is a... You want to draft a wide receiver with a quarterback so they grow together.
Yeah, well...
there's certain connections.
Yeah.
And if you trade AJGreen, what are you getting in return?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Is he going for Antonio Brown, 3rd and 5th round pick? Is he going OBJ for essentially 2 first-round picks and a 3rd round pick?
Well, what's your price for him?
I don't know. He's injured. I would have to see him play.
What's your price for him? You can't see him.
I would say a second. I would say like a 2nd and 5th round pick.
If he doesn't come back this week, which we have to see how he's practicing on Wednesday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then the trade deadline's up because it's gonna be week 8.
I would say like a 2nd and 5th round pick or 2nd and 4th. Like that's what you got to go for. You can't ask for a 1st round pick.
Right.
Because you don't know if he wants to leave or not. Like that's the difference between AB. AB wanted to leave.
So there was no leverage.
And AB was 30 and incredibly healthy and 6 straight years of 100 catches.
Would want to stay?
Does he? It's hard to tell because it depends on if Zach Taylor has, kind of sold him on like, oh, we're rebuilding. It's only going to be a year or 2. Our division's wide open. Can they make it work?
I don't know. I think there's no shot AJGreen stays in a Bengal uniform after this year.
I mean, he's the fan favorite. He's not a fan. He's the fan favorite.
Well, I mean, he's a top 5 wide receiver talent when he's healthy. There's no doubt about that.
That's so arbitrary because there's so many talented, like the top 7 are so elite.
AJGreen is healthy. The AJGreen we used to know was healthy. Top 5 wide receiver, no doubt. Name a top 5 wide receiver right now.
OBJ.
AJGreen's right next to him. Hopkins?
I think he's right below those guys.
Hopkins, AJ Green's right next to him. Devontae Adams, right next to him. If not better.
Antonio Brown.
Better than Antonio Brown.
You're just a salty Raiders
That
fan.
is correct. Antonio Brown's the those talent wide receiver out there. And he's at home in Miami, according to his therapist. He tweeted that, which is like the stupidest tweet I've read in a long time.
I hope he's not late for his online classes.
Yeah, exactly. Think about who was going 6 through 10 in this year's fantasy football draft. Think about who was going 6 through 10.
Running backs.
No. 6 through 10 wide receivers. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
AJ Green's better.
I agree.
Keenan Allen. AJ Green's better.
I agree.
Mike Evans. AJ Green's better.
Yes.
Michael Thomas. AJ Green's right there with him.
Michael Thomas is up there. Maybe. See, the fact that Mike Thomas is having that success with Teddy Bridgewater means that he's quarterback proof.
Also, the only one getting targets there. You think about AJ Green, what he did with Andy Dalton just last year. He was the number 7 wide receiver on a points per game basis in fantasy football before he got hurt.
I mean, that's. I'm not saying AJ Green's bad by any standard.
I know, but
I just don't. I think he's an upper second tier wide receiver. But he's also 30. He's also 31, 32.
That's going to be the issue.
Yeah.
Hopefully, whoever gets him gets him.
And he's been
cheap.
injured before, yeah.
But let's talk about some possible destinations. We talked about just wide receivers. We talked about Diggs last week. Destinations for Diggs. We talked about 49ers, Patriots, and Raiders, which all could apply to AJ Green.
Yeah.
Give me 2 other teams that you also think
Bills and Packers
would be right, and explain why.
Bills and Bengals have had several trades over the past few years and have a good relationship.
They also just traded away Zay Jones.
Yes. Looking for another receiver. John Brown is decent,
Love John Brown.
Yeah, but he's not a number 1 guy.
Correct.
You have a team that can compete for the playoffs this year.
Right.
A defense that's playoff ready. A quarterback who needs the help.
And who throws deep.
And who loves to throw deep and has a monster arm. And then
What about the Packers?
Considering Lazard was their best receiver last night.
Don't put it in your waivers.
And Aaron Rodgers actually came out and said he had to ask the wide receivers coach to put him in because he felt they had a connection in practice and there was no one else. I mean, with Devontae Adams out and his status unknown on when he's going to come back, Allison got hurt last night. And then you got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's good for 2 or 3 catches a game. Jimmy Graham just looks so slow and
they need the help.
Dropped everything. Yeah,
they need the help.
They need the wide receiver depth and help.
That would be a very dangerous duo. I'll tell you that.
And they have a defense that's ready for the playoffs.
That would be it. Yeah, no, I agree. 2 destinations for me. I was trying to think outside the box, right? Maybe I was trying to think different than you, right? I let you take the playoff ready, trade now approach. Give me your opinions, quick opinions on what I'm about to say. Long term, I'll trade for him and try to sign him this year. First team I was thinking about, the Arizona Cardinals. Larry Fitzgerald needs a replacement. We don't know if he's going to retire. Could. Probably will. He's supposed to retire last year. Who knows? Young coach and quarterback, building an offense. Get AJ Green in there for the last 8 games here and just work with him. So by the time that you reach the offseason, you're not starting from scratch. You already got stuff in. And by the time you hit next year, you're on the ground running. And you have you have a step up from old Larry Fitzgerald. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I look at Larry at this point as a slot receiver. They
Okay.
have Andy Isabella, who's growing.
Right.
They have Christian Kirk, who, when healthy, has shown flashes.
Right.
David Johnson is a pass-catching running back.
Right. They're still missing. You put Isabella in the slot.
Are you?
Kirk, you're missing one out wide receiver. Especially when they put 4 out a lot.
I don't think it's worth it with such a young team. I think they would use that capital to rebuild their defense because, Terrell Suggs is their edge rusher.
All right. That's fine. That's just an opinion I have. And the other one is the Steelers. Obviously, it's not going to be much for...
They should trade for Andy Dalton
Well,
over AJ Green. They need a quarterback.
Well, we'll see what happens. Big Ben's not going anywhere, but Juju needs help. Juju, I think Juju needs to be a number 2 receiver. I think they have no one to throw the ball
I agree.
to. Vance
Yep.
is banged up. All their backups are just not good options.
Juju thrives when he's not getting bracketed.
Yep, and I think AJGreen doesn't matter if you bracket him. He's one of those guys. So the Steelers, I feel like you lost AB, plug in AJ.
What do they give for him?
That's going to be the issue.
Raiders 3rd and 5th?
Sure. And then the 4th. I don't know. I didn't think too far ahead about what they get for him. I was thinking long-term.
They gave up their 1st-round pick to Miami for Minka Fitzpatrick.
Long-term, who knows? Maybe they believe in Mason long-term. Maybe they don't.
I mean, that was probably the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So long-term, you got Big Ben a couple more years, and then maybe Mason comes in, see what you can get out of AJ. Real quick before we move on, Ravens, they look solid, but not amazing. They were at home, and they only beat the Bengals by 6. A lot of groundwork this week. Lamar, obviously we know, ran for a career high.
Some turnovers.
Ingram was awesome on the ground. Hale got involved a little bit too, which was probably most involved I've seen him so far.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews is back to me. Mark Andrews. Obviously Hollywood didn't play, so that's probably part of that. Looked good, 4-2. Little separation from this next team we talk about, the Cleveland Browns.
Should we throw in that Marcus Peters just got traded to the Ravens real quick?
Cool. Yeah, sure, absolutely. They
Yeah,
need that help.
5th-round pick and Kenny Young?
They need that help. Yep.
Yeah. Now
So-
improve their secondary with Marlon Humphreys.
And Weddle back there.
Yeah.
I mean, not Weddle. Excuse me,
Thomas. Eric
Weddle's
Thomas.
Swiss, yeah. Eric Thomas.
Yeah. And then now we can just move on to the Browns.